Look at this beautiful book I have here. It's called The Complete Collection of Antiquities from the Cabinet of Sir William Hamilton. I got this book many years ago when I worked for a little bit at Toshin Bookstore in Beverly Hills. One of the big perks of working in that store was I got a lot of books. In fact, whenever they would have a big sale, there'd always be these books left over, and we as employees could either get them at even a further discount or sometimes for free. So I have stacks and stacks of beautiful books. And I've been looking at this one in particular recently. It shows the different scenes that were on various classical urns. And the reason why I brought this book out is because I've been thinking a lot about a particular poem from the 19th century English Romantic poet John Keats. The poem is Ode on a Grecian Urn, and it's something that we read in high school and learned about. It stuck with me. In the poem, Keats is looking at a Greek urn, and he's talking about what's depicted on it. It's a scene of young people in springtime. The poem makes interesting comments about the permanence of art and the impermanence of lived experience. How art is so great because these people depicted will never know suffering. They won't know change. But at the same time, they're forever stuck in that moment. If it's springtime, it'll always be spring. They'll always be that age. They're denied the changes that life has, whether good or bad. It's a poem that every time I read, I get something new. But it's the final lines of that poem that have really stuck with me for decades now. And I've been thinking about those lines a lot, especially in the past year. The lines are, "Beauty is truth, truth beauty. That is all ye know on earth and all ye need to know." I'm not sure why those words just ring in my head so much. Maybe because I've been thinking a lot about beauty, the things that I see every day, and how I choose to look for it because I'm tired of being surrounded by ugliness and deception. There's so much of it that I want to choose the lens through which I see the world. Because these words keep ringing in my mind, I've decided to write them down. So I wrote them down on a card that I picked up in a beautiful stationery store in Bath, England. And I've decided what I'd like to do is share this card with someone who's watching this video. It seems like the gesture I'd like to do right now. So do me a favor. If you feel so inclined and you're watching this video, I'd like you to comment and just tell me about a moment of beauty that you witnessed in the past 24 hours. Whether it's something you saw or heard, tasted, smelled, felt, whatever it is, let me know what this moment of beauty is. I thank you in advance for sharing with me. And then what I'm gonna do is, I post this video on a Saturday. On Friday, I'm gonna go through the comments and I'm randomly gonna select one. I'm gonna figure out how to contact you and I'm gonna send you this card. It's an experiment. So thank you in advance, whoever decides to participate. There's something else that has been popping into my mind in the past week or so, and I think it's in reaction to those words, beauty is truth, truth beauty. And it's a film that really affected me, and it's called Fanny and Alexander from the Swedish director Ingmar Bergman. As a teenager, I used to watch this movie regularly, so much so that when I watched it this week, it's been over 30 years since I've seen that movie. And yet I knew every line in every scene. I didn't think I was going to remember it that much, but I suppose when you see something that many times, it's permanently etched into your brain. The movie is really beautiful and really fascinating. It's about these siblings, Fanny and Alexander, their children, and how their father dies, Their mother remarries a very terrible man who basically tortures them. And there's this interesting slippage between reality and fantasy. And we're not really sure what Alexander is imagining, what his fantasy is, or whether it's happening, but his reality is touched with magic. There's one part in the movie when his terrible stepfather confronts him and asks, "Alexander, why does one lie?" And after squirming around a little bit, Alexander finally answers. He says, "One lies to gain an advantage." I'm not sure exactly why that line spoken by Alexander is really resonating with me right now. Maybe it's because I've been thinking a lot about truth and lies and how lies are a tool of manipulation in order to gain power over a situation or over people. That's very dark and it hangs heavy in the air. So maybe it's my desire to just open the window and let some light in. And I'm not sure if that notion of a lie being a tool to gain an advantage has anything to do with the words that Keats wrote of beauty is truth, truth beauty. But these are two things that are just kind of hanging in my head right now. And whether they can be woven together, I don't know. Maybe you can tell me. I'm wearing this shirt, in fact, because I thought it looked a little bit like something Alexander would wear. The shirt is designed by a Swedish brand called Our Legacy, so maybe that fits in with the Swedish theme of Ingmar Bergman as well. But I like the lace trim. Really beautiful. I wear this shirt a lot. And I'm burning this particular candle for several reasons. First of all, it looks like something that would be in the Ekdal's house in Fanny and Alexander. It seems to be that kind of time period. I like to think that you can get so much enjoyment from just seeing this twirly carousel over a candle, but I do get so much enjoyment looking at this. Every year, Diptyque seems to sell this around the time of the holidays, a few weeks before Christmas. It came with the bay candle, but I ran through that candle ages ago. So now it's on top of the cafe candle, which has this beautiful smell of rich coffee with spices. In the film, Fanny and Alexander's wonderful grandmother serves coffee to some of her friends several times. So I was just imagining the aroma of the coffee when I was watching the movie, and I wanted to replicate it with this candle. It's not as though this house already smells like coffee. I'm constantly brewing it, but even so. So I do have to head out and go to work today. When I walked the dogs earlier this morning, the clouds were really coming in, so I have a feeling it's going to be raining as I head to work. First, I want to stop by the LA Flower Market, mostly to see if they have any lily of the valley. May is the month of lily of the valley, and I have so many memories. In Pennsylvania, we lived next door to a dental practice. The dental practice was just in one of these suburban houses, and it just happened to be our neighbor. And on the weekends or after hours when the business was closed, my sister and I would just go over and hang out at that house because they had really beautiful planting. On one side of the house, they had these shrubs, and under these shrubs was just this lush carpet of lily of the valley. And this would happen in the beginning of May. I loved it for many reasons. The smell is so beautiful, and my birthday is in May. So like lilac, lily of the valley really heralds my birthday season, and I like to celebrate for several weeks. It was funny living next door to that dentist's office because they also had this big urn by the front door with sand, and people would smoke outside and put out their cigarettes in the urn. This was the late 70s, early 80s, so, people smoked even at the dentist's. And kind of disgustingly, my sister and I would play with the cigarette butts. Isn't that horrible? You know that scene from Grease where Sandy has a cigarette and she throws it onto the ground and stomps it with her foot. My sister and I would take these cigarette butts, put them in our mouths, and then throw them onto the ground and stomp them out as though we were Olivia Newton-John. I mean, it's really disgusting to think about, but that's what we did. It was the 80s. So I'm going to look to see if there's any lily of the valley at the market. I kind of have a feeling there won't be, but it's worth a shot. Just as I suspected, there's no lily of the valley. But everyone had lilac. And even though I've had fresh lilac in the house for the past several weeks, I couldn't help getting a big bouquet. I also saw cosmos and sweet pea and was tempted to get both, but I just stuck with the lilac. I put the bouquet on the passenger seat and headed out to work. In the cup holder was this little makeshift vase that I made from a cut-up water bottle, which I put 2 rose stems in. I wanted to bring them to work so that everyone could see them and smell them. So it was nice driving with this beautiful floral perfume inside the car. LA looks very different when it's raining. So I think that lilac that I picked up at the LA Flower Market looks so good here. It looks fantastic next to the new display cabinet and under that painting that I picked up in England. And the smell, it's just beautiful. I did go to the market hoping to find lily of the valley. I knew it was a long shot because lily of the valley doesn't really grow anywhere in Southern California, so it would have to have been flown in, and I'm not sure what's blooming where. But I'll keep going in the next few weeks just to see if any comes in. Because it's one of my favorite smells, I'm always looking for perfumes that accurately depict lily of the valley, or it's also known as Muguet in French. And in my opinion, the best is Lily from Comme des Garçons. Originally, this perfume was released in the year 2000. It was part of the Leaves collection. They were in green bottles, and they were all inspired by green things. Remember, shiso is one, lily, of course, calamus. When this collection was first introduced, they also had candles of the same scents. And it was the most beautiful smell. It smelled exactly like the lily of the valley at the dentist's office next door from when I was a kid. But they stopped making that candle shortly after it was released. I loved wearing the lily perfume. It disappeared and then came back a few years ago as part of the Olfactory Library series. This series is all in white bottles, but the labels kind of give you an indication of the original series it came from. In this case, the Green Leaves series. It's the most perfect green indolic lily of the valley. And because lily of the valley is one of those flowers that can't be extracted for its scent in traditional extraction methods, when you smell a lily of the valley perfume, it's a composite of different aromatic chemicals and natural materials to mimic that smell. So it's all in the art. And this one gets it so right. Unfortunately, the lily from the Olfactory Library is also discontinued. And when I found out that was going to happen, I hoarded it. So I have 3 bottles of this. I never want to be without it. So you probably noticed that this twirling carousel is now on a different candle. It's on a Guerlain candle. When I was in Guerlain in Paris last year, I found out that they had refills, just the wax, for some of their candles. And I thought, to save money, I'm just going to get a refill. I'm sure I have an empty vessel somewhere at home. And I do. It didn't really fit the ones that I had in mind, but I did have this old Guerlain candle. And it fit nicely. It's a little bit taller than this vessel, so it stuck out just a little bit. But after a few burns, it comes to the right level. It's perfect. And as far as I know, this is the best depiction of lily of the valley in a candle. I love diptychs so much, you know that I do, but their Muguet candle doesn't quite cut it for me. It's not close enough to real lily of the valley. I've been burning this so much and it's getting a little bit low, so when I was in the UK a few weeks ago, I stopped into Guerlain in Covent Garden in London, and I got a new refill. So I'm ready for when this runs out. Oh, even the box smells incredible. It's a little bit cold for this time of year and a little bit wet, and I'm very grateful for that. Please send me your thoughts on a moment of beauty that you witnessed. It will truly be my pleasure to read these. Thank you for hanging out with me.